Why did they become Muslims? Chapter 2. Selections from the explanations made by celebrities who were formerly non-Muslims and whose admiration for Islam eventually led them to believing in Allah Ta'ala. The following chapter contains a few paraphrased selections from the statements made by some of the many non-Muslim celebrities who believed in Allah Ta'ala and admired Islam. These statements reflect their views of Islam. So many are the people who share the same opinions that we have had to pick out only the famous ones. Among our selections are great commanders, statesmen and scientists whom you all know very well. Now let us read with attention to what they said. Napoleon Bonaparte the First, 1769–1821, who went into history as a military genius and statesman, when he entered Egypt in 1798, admired Islam's greatness and genuineness, and even considered whether he should become a Muslim. The following excerpt was paraphrased from Sherfilz's book Bonaparte et Islam. Napoleon said, "The existence and unity of Allah Ta'ala, which Musa, alayhis salam, had announced to his own people, and Isa, alayhis salam, to his own ummah, was also announced by Muhammad, alayhis salam, to the entire world." Arabia had become totally a country of idolaters. 6 centuries after Isa, alayhis salam, Muhammad, alayhis salam, initiated the Arabs into an awareness of Allah Ta'ala, whose existence prophets previous to him, such as Ibrahim, Abraham, Ismail, Musa, Moses, and Isa, Jesus, alayhim salam, had announced. Peace in the East had been disturbed by the Arians. That is, Christians who followed Arius, who had somehow developed a degree of friendship with the Arabs, and by heretics, who had defiled the true religion of Isa alayhis salam and were striving to spread in the name of religion a totally unintelligible credo which is based on Trinity, that is God, Son of God, and the Holy Ghost. Muhammad alayhis salam guided the Arabs to the right way, taught them that Allah Ta'ala is one, that He, Allah Ta'ala, does not have a father or a son, and that worshipping several gods is an absurd custom which is the continuation of idolatry. At another place in his book he quotes Napoleon, as having said the following: "I hope that in the near future I will have the chance to gather together the wise and cultured people of the world and establish a government that I will operate in accordance with the principles written in Quran al-Karim." Professor Thomas Carlyle. Thomas Carlyle of Scotland, 1795–1881, one of the greatest men of knowledge known world over, entered the university when he was only 14 years old, studied jurisprudence, literature and history, learned German and Oriental languages, exchanged letters with, and even visited, the well-known German writer, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. 1749–1832, and was awarded by the King of Prussia with the Medal of Honor called Pour le Mérite, and was elected president by the University of Edinburgh. Among Carlyle's works are Sartor Resartus, The French Revolution, On Heroes, Hero Worship and the Heroic in History, Past and Present, Latter-day Pamphlets, The Life of Friedrich Schiller, and critical and miscellaneous essays. The following passage was selected from one of his works. The Arabs, Muhammad alayhis salam, and his age. Before the advent of Muhammad alayhis salam, the Arabs were in such a state that, if a big piece of fire spurted out at the place where the Arabs lived, it would have disappeared on the dry sand without leaving any traces behind itself. But after the advent of Muhammad alayhis salam, that desert of dry sand turned into, as it were, a barrel of gunpowder. From Delhi to Granada, everywhere became rapidly rising flames. This great person was, so to speak, lightning, and all the people around him became explosives catching fire from him. The following passages are taken from Professor Carlyle's conference. As you read the Quran al-Karim, you will presently realize that it is not an ordinary tome of literature. The Quran al-Karim is a work of art that springs from a heart and instantly penetrates all the other hearts. All the other works of art are quite dull when compared with this tremendous masterpiece. The most striking characteristic of the Quran al-Karim is that it is a truthful and excellent guide. To me, this is the greatest merit of Quran al-Karim. And it is this merit that begets other merits. And here are words taken from his Carlyle's Memoirs of a Trip. In Germany I told my friend Goethe about the facts I had gathered concerning Islam and added my personal reflections on the subject. After listening to me with attention, he said, "If that is Islam, we are all Muslims." Mahatma Ghandi. Mohandas Karam Chand, 1869–1948. Gandhi descends from a West Indian Christian family. His father was the chief ecclesiastic of the city of Porbandar, and he was very rich. Gandhi was born in the city of Porbandar. He went to Britain for his high school education. After completing his education he went back to India. In 1893 he was sent to South Africa by an Indian firm. Upon seeing the heavy conditions under which the Indians working there were and the utterly inhumane treatment they were being subjected to, he decided to put up a struggle for the betterment of their political rights. He dedicated himself to the Indian people. As he was conducting a vigorous campaign against the South African government for the protection of the Indians' rights, he was arrested and imprisoned. Yet he was too undaunted to give up struggle. He stayed in Africa till 1914. Then, quitting his perfectly lucrative job there, he returned to India to carry on his struggle. He waged a struggle in cooperation with the Indian Muslims' Unity, which Muslims had established in 1906 for the liberation of India. All his personal property and his father's property he spent for the promotion of this cause. When he heard that the British were going to launch a second operation of violence and cruelty similar to the one they had perpetrated in the state of Punjab in 1858, he cooperated with the Muslims, induced his friends to withdraw from the civil service, and waged a silent protest and a passive resistance. By wrapping a white piece of cloth around his naked body and contenting himself with the milk of a goat which he continuously kept with him, he carried over his passive resistance. The first reaction on the part of the British was to laugh at him. It did not take them long, however, to see with astonishment and dismay that this man, who believed his own ideals with all his heart and who was ready to sacrifice all his existence with alacrity for the sake of his country, was with the entire India in tow and resounding with his speechless struggle. Imprisoning him proved to no avail. Gandhi's efforts resulted in India's attaining its independence. The Hindus gave him the name, Mahatma, which lexically means, blessed. Gandhi studied the Islamic religion and Quran al-Karim with meticulous attention and finally found himself a sincere admirer of Islam. The following is his observation concerning this subject. Muslims have never indulged themselves in bigotry even in times of greatest grandeur and victory. Islam enjoins an admiration for the Creator of the world and his works. As the West was in a dreadful darkness, the dazzling star of Islam shining in the East brought light, peace and relief to the suffering world. The Islamic religion is not a mendacious religion. When the Hindus study this religion with due respect, they, too, will feel the same sympathy as I do for Islam. I have read the books telling about the lifestyle of the Prophet of Islam and of those who were close to him. These books generated profound interest in me, so much so that when I finished reading them I regretted there being no more of them. I have arrived at the conclusion that Islam's spreading rapidly was not by the sword. On the contrary, it was primarily owing to its simplicity, logicality, its prophet's great modesty, his trueness to his promises and his unlimited faithfulness towards every Muslim that many people willingly accepted Islam. Islam has abrogated monastic life. In Islam there is no one to intervene between Allah Ta'ala and his born slave. Islam is a religion that commands social justice from the outset. There is no institution between the Creator and the created. Anyone who reads Quran al-Karim, that is its explanations and books written by Islamic scholars, will learn the commandments of Allah Ta'ala and will obey him. There is no obstruction between Allah Ta'ala and him in this respect. Whereas many ineluctable changes were made in Christianity on account of its shortcomings, Islam has not undergone any alterations, and it preserves its pristine purity. Christianity lacks democratic spirit. The need to equip that religion with a democratic aspect has necessitated an increase in the Christians' national zeal and the concomitant reforms.